Coming up, an old friend returns.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Steven Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey everybody, welcome along to another episode of Double Tap. It's Friday. Shaun Priest, do you like Fridays?
I love Fridays, Steven Scott. I've got that Friday feeling. How about you?
I was thinking of the Happy Days theme. Monday, happy day, happy day,
what about it?
I don't know, I just thought about it. How are you? You all right? You having a good day so far?
Yes, all right. Do you know what? I've got to go for a lasering later on, Steven Scott. As soon as I finish this show, I am hopping into an Uber to be lasered James Bond style.
Into what?
Well, I'm hoping that, I'll be driving home from the lasering.
Oh.
No, not at all. I'm having a cataracts removed. I'm having laser treatment. They actually just rang me before we started to say, can you actually come in now? And I said, how dare you, sir? Double tap must go on. So, as soon as I finish here, I'm going for a lasering.
Because I was just going to call Michael Babcock and get him on to cover, you know?
Oh, don't say that. You know that makes me scared. You know he's so much better than I am. Stop it.
So this is going in for, now to be very clear, because, you know, you're saying you're going in for a lasering, but
yes,
which particular part of your body is being lasered off?
Well, I'm not a medical man, but I think cataracts are in the eyeballs. So I'm having my right eye lasered. I went for a consultation. I think I spoke about it on the show. Not expecting any sight back, but I'm trying to keep my light perception. Lights are important. Keep those lights on.
Give out, man.
You know what? It's funny. After that consultation, I said, yeah, you know, I've got light perception. And he said, okay, well, yeah, let's remove that cataract. It will help keep that. And it wasn't until I got home and I closed my left eye, which is my laughingly called good eye, and I noticed actually I've got nothing in my right eye at all. It is completely black. So
and you'd never noticed? I've
never noticed. That's strange. So I'm hoping that I will get some light perception back after a damn good lasering.
Oh, wow. Is that how you think it works? Do you think that they just keep sort of lasering bits off the front of your eye? Do you think it's like covered in chicken or something? And that's
just dirty. Give it a bit of a wash, right?
Yeah,
what can
clean
go wrong?
Up the eyes.
Straight back to the optic nerve. Just keep shaving some off.
It'd be great if it worked like that, wouldn't it? That'd be so cool.
It would. Well, we'll see. So,
well, listen, good luck. I know it's not the most pleasant of experiences to go through. So,
I hate having my eyes touched as well. They are going to have to sit on me.
No, can't do it. Can't do it. Sorry. You have to. What you'll have to do if you have to do your cataract surgery on me, you're going to have to knock me out, and I have to form an orderly queue, people. And you know, then you're going to have to put my head in a vice and actually, I think you'd have to put my eyes in a vice as well because I've got nystagmus. So it's just my eyes are. I'd have to get someone with a really shaky hand.
Oh, please stop.
To do the lasering.
I didn't even think about that. I've got nystagmus as well. They've got to clamp your eyelid open, haven't they?
Oh, my Lord. Well,
right, forget it.
I don't
want to go.
Let's bring in our guest. What a perfect opportunity to bring our guest on. Jenine Stanley's here.
Hi. You don't want me
Jenine?
to tell you the ins and outs of cataract surgery, do you? My husband just had it last year.
Oh.
And so I can tell you everything. And I had it when I was a teenager, which was a long time ago, when they did it much differently than they do now. So
now, did your husband have a
fine.
Did your husband have a damn good lasering?
Yes, he did. He did. And he actually gained a fair amount of vision back. They didn't expect it, but it's amazing.
Shall I hand in my notice now? I hand in my blind card.
Well, exactly. I mean, you know, you can now get a job as a chauffeur. You can be an Uber driver. You can, all those wonderful things you wanted to do. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to be the bus driver. When can I be a bus driver? Is that a thing?
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, his were very cloudy, very, everything. He has a lot of peripheral vision, but it was getting super cloudy. And anytime it was bright, it was all like just diffused light in his eye. And now, things are much more clear, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully you'll get a little bit of that light perception back, Shaun.
Yes, I hope so.
You don't realize how important it is, but I did the same thing before I had my eyes removed. They were doing that, well, do you still see light? And I thought I did, and I thought I heard them clicking that flashlight on and off. Nothing.
Yes,
okay, every time they clicked it off, it was on. Every time they, totally wrong. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to say, you're taking blindness very seriously, Jenine. Having no eyes.
That's blind pride, brother.
That's proper blindness right there.
I wish I'd done it many years before I did it, but it's
really?
still, the concept still just freaks me out. So it was I had glaucoma, I had juvenile cataracts, secondary glaucoma, and glaucoma will suck out your soul, I'm telling you, because it's very painful. And it gets to a point where your eyes get a little deformed and okay, enough already. And then you realize, I should have done this years ago.
So when did you get that? When did that start?
It's probably, let's see. The glaucoma started in my teens. I had the cataracts off in my early teens, glaucoma late teens and 20s, which is when I started to lose the remainder of my vision. So, went down that road. And then, years and years went by with glaucoma pain and whatnot. And finally, it just got to be too much. And I can't believe it has been 11 years since I had the one eye done, 10 years since I had the other one done. So, welcome to the world of prosthetics. And there's precious little information about it out there, So,
no one talks about it. That's true.
Yeah.
I always think, if I needed can I say a glass eye? Are we allowed to say that?
Well,
Is that allowed?
It's funny, right? My wife doesn't like that. She doesn't like that at all.
No, because they're really not. Yeah, it's really not like
not
a ball in there. It's more like a triangular thing that goes over a ball that is actually in your eye. So there's
triangle?
It's sort of like a little mold of the outside of your eyeball that goes in there, and that's what people see. And then behind that is what they call an implant, which is usually a little ball of coral or resin or something that your skin grows over, and it's kind of gross. And welcome to, you should have put a content warning on here, but
no, we don't do content warnings here. We have a serious audience. They know the deal.
These are the questions that people sort of secretly want to know, right?
Well, these are the questions I had, because I know a lot of people who are congenitally blind who have prosthetic eyes, and they kept talking about how they fall out, and all I could think of was, no, I don't want my eyes to fall out. I don't want
MagSafe. That's what you need. MagSafe
that would be great.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be cool.
Which is what I was going to ask about. I'll try and say it. Prosthetic.
Yes.
I always thought if I had to have one, I'd want one, with LEDs in it, maybe a little Bluetooth speaker or something like that. Have you ever thought about anything like that?
That would be cool, actually. Like a good Bluetooth in there, some stereo speakers, whatever. But the key is finding a good ocularist to make your prosthetic eyes and to hand paint them. And you have to go in every few years and have them redone, because your eye produces protein, aka tears, which messes up the paint. So many people do not realize that I have prosthetic eyes, so that's pretty good. I have to give that to my ocularist. But also, the reason mine don't fall out, and a lot of people who get them later on, is that we have good muscle control of our eyes, and that's the big thing. If you already still have your natural eyes, keep looking at things. Look up, look down, look left, look right, pretend to smile, pretend to be mad. Those were the exercises my doctor gave me. And he said, if you do these, your eyes are not going to fall out. If they're properly fitted, they're not going to fall out. So that was a big relief for me.
I mean, to be serious though, there's a lot of serious parts to this, and there's people who might wonder, like, for example, if you lost a huge amount of weight, for example, would that have an impact on, because if your body's changing?
Not really, because it's more the muscles around the orbit of your eye, which is the hole that your eyeball fits in, basically. So this is outside of your exterior to the bone kind of weight. So your skin may sag a little bit, maybe that's true, but it's all about those muscles around your eye that keep it in. And you're going back to your ocularist to get them repainted. They'll do a refitting to see if anything's changed. Okay, do we need to make another prosthesis to go on there? And I had one of the little balls, they call it an implant. one of them had a malfunction where the skin wasn't adhering to it, and it's very scratchy, and it felt like I had sandpaper in my eye. Oh, hurt so bad. And, so they went in and they took out that little ball, and they took some fat, and this is like constant, it's too much comedy for anybody to handle. They took some fat from another place in my body because I had plenty to spare. And
Where?
They took it from the abdomen, believe it or not.
I'm so glad that word ended.
Yes,
yeah,
I was hoping they'd take a lot more. I was offering donations, but no. So, but yes. Yeah.
You thought free liposuction over here.
Yeah,
right.
It was like, okay, we'll just send the rest of this to the tissue bank, and away we go. Yeah. But they basically made a little ball and put it in there. Why is that still talking? Sorry.
Your computer's,
My computer is yammering away over here. I'm just gonna.
Well, let it talk. Let it join in. Maybe I can join in as well.
It feels sad. I mean, it wants to be part of. That's okay. We had a big discussion with Siri this morning in which both my spouse and I were yelling at her. So. Yeah.
Oh,
I wonder if you ever looked at or used AI to ask questions about prosthetics, because I wonder, like you're saying, there's so little information, right?
Well,
Do you think
that would be really
anything?
interesting. And I wanted to know from somebody who had gone through it. And there is just precious little info. So happily, my ocularists, they're amazing. And usually here in the States, there's only one per state. Okay, it's not a big profession, and there are some pre-made, prosthetics, and then there are some handmade ones, and my guys hand make them, which is really cool because they're amazing. They're very, very realistic looking. Mine are greenish brown hazel color, and more green than brown. So, and people say they look very natural, except I think I've got the right one is a little off. So I need to go in and get it refitted. But otherwise, it's really interesting. And people who had it done just were very blasé about it. Like, oh yeah, you just go in and it's no big deal. And you're having a body part removed. Okay.
Yeah.
You're having a very essential body part removed. And my ophthalmologist said, you have to be psychologically ready for this too. And, if you're not, it's a lot of trauma. And so I watched my sister go through it. She had kind of an emergency, had both eyes removed at the same time, which they don't usually do, but they were looking for cancer. And luckily they did not find it. But I watched her and I said, okay, if you can do it, I can do it. Okay, we're good. So
that's sisterly competitiveness there.
You are the guinea pig. That's it,
Yeah, it's very true, though. It's not just about the procedure, right? The physical procedure. It's that emotional aspect. It's a huge deal.
Oh, it is. It is. And because it takes a good bit of maneuvering to get your actual physical eye out, your face looks like you have gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. I mean, you come out of that thing with bruises and just unbelievably looking bad for about 6 weeks. So I wore sunglasses, which I don't normally do, but I did that for quite a while. There's a lot of swelling. You have to wait for that to go down. And that'll be the case, with your cataract surgery as well. So, yeah. Big fun.
The psychological thing is obviously, like you say, losing a body part is the window to, as they always say, the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? It's what people see. So, when you're having a conversation with someone, it's the first thing they're looking at. Do you feel, did you feel then that you were kind of like, well, this needs to be done?
Yeah.
So there's a reason for this, and there's a better end for this. Whereas with your sister, it was more a case of a complete shock that it was happening. And but were the outcomes different for your sister and you? Do you think? You were more prepared, more ready for it?
I think I was more ready for it than she was. She kind of went into it going, okay, if I have to, all right, let's just do it. And now she's fine with it. Some 10, 12 years later, but it was pretty rough. I was prepared. I did not realize how disfigured my eyes had become until they removed them. And I thought, I've been going out and doing what I do. At the time I worked for the guide dog school. I did a lot of public speaking, and I'm thinking, I should have been wearing glasses because, wow, were my eyes deformed. But you can't go back. So now they look great. And here we are.
I often think when people talk about the blind look, no one really ever knows what that means, but I wonder if that's part of it. I've often thought the blind look is something to do with eyes essentially looking everywhere but where you are.
Yeah, I think so.
As being part of it.
Yeah, and if you look at the blind Barbie, that was one of the things that they had to do for blind Barbie, was make sure that the eyes, and she's partially sighted, I guess, so her look is a little bit off, but, they had to get that part right. And I'm told that sometimes I'm looking up too much. So, that could be the prosthetic, that could be who knows what, but yeah, I think that's probably it.
I feel that. No, I feel I've got that look. I don't know if that's like just psychological, or actually it is, because I can feel that I've got nowhere to lock on anymore.
Right.
I've got no focus point whatsoever. So I do tend. Sometimes I find myself, I'm sort of daydreaming. My face is just sort of frozen.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think also that you have to, if you've been a visual person, like I still think visually, like I think I'm staring right at that camera, even when I've drifted off camera. Yeah. But, I've got that in my head. And, if you've got that kind of visual picture in your head, try to keep that, try to, work with that and look at people when, they're talking and try to keep that. Although sometimes, you just get bored when your husband's going on and on about something and, you're looking down at your food as I am now and just sort of, but yeah.
I know that experience. I think we've experienced this, Shaun. I think I'm starting to understand where Janine's coming from here. I feel this has been happened to us a few times.
Wonder if you could get little TFT flat panels in as prosthetics.
Oh, stop it.
That'd be great.
You're not getting screens in your eyes, okay?
Well, the kids could watch YouTube on me then. I feel useful.
Right. You could
then they talk to you.
Like a teleprompter, answer all those embarrassing questions that people ask you, do you dream in color? And the little teleprompter just, there you go.
It was interesting. I was watching a documentary just the other night, actually, and it's on in the UK on BBC iPlayer. It may be available outside of the UK, although I know the iPlayer rules are changing a little bit. So, what you can access in the US and abroad is different. But there was a show on there called Our Lives, and it's a series. It's a series of documentaries focusing in on specific stories each time. And this story was about a guy called Dave Steele, who's a blind poet.
Yes.
And he was charting his journey of, at the point where the filming started, he had some remaining vision. He has RP, and he was losing his vision. So by the end of the movie, or the end of the film, he had pretty much lost all of his vision. And it was talking about that whole journey and experience. And there was a point where he was sitting next to his wife, and his wife got very upset, as you can imagine, as would be the case. His wife is sighted. And she was sitting next to him, and she said, "It's the first time I've seen you have that look." And he said, "Vacant."
Oh.
And I thought that was a really interesting word to use because, without going into too much personal information, dementia's in our family. And I haven't seen it yet. I probably don't know if I would see it, to be honest. I don't know if I've got that level of detail to pick that up. I kind of look for it, though. I try and look for it, but I don't see it. But I often hear it linked to dementia. And I've never really thought of it as a word relating to sight loss, but it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because you do have that look of...
I don't know.
It's because you're not looking directly.
Yeah. You're not focusing on anything. You're just kind of letting that part of your face go and in favor of maybe your ears. And one thing my husband noticed is his cataracts got worse. He ended up tipping his head down because he heard better that way. And he's got a pretty significant hearing impairment. So, that played into it a little bit. But, it was something that he noticed. And he said, then I have to look up. And I'm doing all this on camera, guys. So I'm sure that looks highly amusing. But, yeah. But it is interesting. And, I think a lot of us have a memory, and no disrespect here to Stevie Wonder at all, because I think he's an amazing person and a really actually human being. I didn't get the pleasure of meeting him at CSUN, but I've heard so many good things about him that are not the super inspirational. But I think we all remember how he kind of had his head tipped back and he kind of moved it back and forth and, like that. And is that what the blind person look is? I don't know. But those poor sighted people. Oh,
well,
so bad.
I think a lot of it is because again, it's like you say, if you're coming to it from a visual experience, from the visual world, you're going to try and hold on to. Like I've been criticized in the past for saying I try and make eye contact with people, and they're like, "Well, you're not blind then," and I'm like, "Well, that's not the point."
I still try
not about,
as well.
Yeah, so my vision level is at the point where I can sort of make out a face to an extent, not detail of a face. It's like, I don't know what we have a thing here in the UK, it might be a thing worldwide, I don't know. Is it Angels with No Faces? Is that the name of it, Sean? I think it's something like that.
Oh my.
Is it?
It's basically these little figurines and they have no face.
Oh, yeah.
They have no eyes or mouth or nose or anything. It's just but it's like an outline. And that's kind of how I see now. That's where I'm at in terms of the amount of detail I can get from people. So, like, we're doing the show, and I can tell if Janine's on centre on screen or not. But that's about people say, "Oh, you're not blind then." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I don't know what that means." But if you think being able to see an outline of someone is great vision, good
go
for
ahead
you.
And try it. You're welcome to it. Yeah,
that's the best I can do. All right, so that's the best I've got. But when you see that kind of level of detail, and you've been in that world, you're getting to the point where the vision's getting worse. You do think, I'm going to try and hold up some of these natural social cues, the things that society would expect. People who come from a totally blind perspective don't have that. Yeah. And I don't know what's right and what's wrong, because I don't know if we're more anxious about it than other people are.
I think so, because we know what is expected. Now, there are some totally blind people whose parents were very, insistent on that kind of thing. And my parents, both my sisters and I have the same visual impairment. We grew up partially sighted, no peripheral vision, but partially sighted, which was actually kind of nice because we were all the same. So we were our own little refuge there. But, my mother always tried to have us not, look at people, use your eyes to do as much as you can, not in a mean or abusive way, but basically, this is what people expect of you. And I had horrible nystagmus too, so boy, I know about that one. And, that was hard, but it was something that I had to do, and it's something that I still do. And now it's so much fun because when people say, "Well, you're looking right at me, you're not really blind," I can reach up and actually touch my eyeball and freak them out. So,
well, we've had those stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Sean, are you feeling all right about all this?
No, not anymore. No, absolutely not.
You've got this, Shaun. You've got this. We will anxiously await your recovery and finding out what everything was like. But you've got this. It's a simple procedure, and
yes,
my husband did his without anesthesia, which grossed me out. But right. I won't go into detail on
Please
that
don't.
one. But yeah,
apparently
you will be fine.
15 minutes. That's all it takes. So I should be back on Monday, unless I'm not. Prepare yourself, Stephen Scott.
Janine, are you free Monday?
Yeah.
I need you back on. But no, look.
Let me have a look here.
just know we're with you on, all right? And it's going to be great, and it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
And we will absolutely find out what's happening and make fun of you on Monday.
Nice one.
Sure.
Excellent. Right, look, I know we brought you on to talk about ACB. We seem to have drifted off entirely. But
boy.
You know what? I really enjoyed that conversation. I think other people will too. Look, stay right there. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, and we will talk all about ACB, your travels there, and some cool tech you saw.
This is Double Tap. We'll be right back.
Double Tap thanks Turtleback Cases for supporting this podcast and for their decades-long commitment to the blind and low vision community. Since 2003, Turtleback has been the original name behind protective leather cases for note-takers, trusted by thousands and designed with real feedback from real users. Made in the USA, their cases are rugged, ergonomic, and built to last. They offer custom-fitted protection for devices like the Victor Reader Stream 3, Blindshell Classic 3, Mantis Q40, Sense Player, Orbit Reader 20, Focus 40, Braille eMotion, and more. Use promo code DT12 for 12% off your entire order. And yes, they ship worldwide via FedEx, complete with tracking. Visit turtlebacklv.com to see the full lineup.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Right, let's talk about ACB. Jenine, that's what we wanted to talk to you about initially. Because you were at ACB, you were there for IRA, right?
Yep. I was there in the exhibit hall for IRA for the 6th year in a row. Well, not quite in a row. There was that little thing called COVID, but it's been 6 years that I've been doing the IRA thing at ACB. But before that, I've been a affiliate officer, affiliate president. I've been on their board of publications. I've been going to ACB conventions for a long, long time.
What does ACB stand for?
American Council of the Blind. And the of is really important. I'm sure you've heard of this with the NFB, but of in both organizations is really important because it is run by blind people, for blind people, and we want to keep that in mind. Although, ACB does utilize a number of volunteers at the convention. So something else to keep in mind about the two organizations that are a little different.
ACB, NFB, who'd win in a fight?
NFB, because there are more of them.
Okay, right. Okay.
But what's interesting is how the two organizations over the years, because the way that ACB came about was that there were a group of people within the NFB, which used to be the only organization, that were not happy with the way things were being run. And they decided to break off in 1961 and make their own organization, which is ACB. So next year, it's, I think, their 65th year of being around. And it's like I hesitate to say this, but it's like the Republicans and the Democrats here. So you have the two political parties, and they used to be diametrically opposed. If ACB liked it, NFB didn't. If NFB liked it, ACB didn't. Much less of that these days. Much more cooperation, collaboration, which is nice. And, the conventions are sometimes they overlap completely. Sometimes they're one right after the other. Next year, there's one at the beginning of July, one at the end of July, which is nice because if you want 2 vacations, you can have them, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the ACB partnering up for convention hall space with the blind vets.
Yeah.
Doesn't it just make sense, though, that the NFB and ACB just get back together?
Yeah, sort of, but there are still a lot of people who are... ACB has a much more mature, let's say it that way, but basically an older membership base. So, we've got people who are leery of NFB. They remember the days when NFB was very... prescriptive in how you dealt with blindness. And if you didn't do it that way, you were pretty much, shunned or whatever, not having been there during that time. I remember hearing about it. I remember seeing a little bit of it, but it is something that is going to be hard to bridge the two. But what ACB needed to do, because going to convention is, a huge expense for a lot of people. So starting with the pandemic, they started to put their convention on Zoom and on ACB Media, which they did a really good job of. And they do that. Well, they've done it for the past couple of years on YouTube as well. So they were really doing that intense audio video of a convention. And boy, a hybrid convention it's a lot. There's a lot of pieces there for maybe 500 to 900 people coming in person. Well, that's really hard to maintain, hotels and things like that. So pairing up with the Blinded Veterans Association just worked because they have, I want to say, about 500 people that come to that convention. And you get a lot more vendors in the exhibit hall if they know that they're going to be marketing to both, just regular blind people and veterans and the VA and all of that structure. So it helps everybody. But I'll tell you what, so many of the really good exhibitors only went to NFB and often only can go to one convention. So, hopefully next year when they're at totally different times, we'll get some of the same vendors, I hope.
Yeah, but it's also the same for people who want to visit, right? I mean, financially, there may be, I can only do one.
Yep. Which one am I going to do? Now, this year we were in Dallas and NFB was in New Orleans. Now, where would you like to go, Shaun? I can tell you they both have amazing food because the one NFB convention I went to with Ira, we went to New Orleans and it took me years to get that weight off. Whoa. Oh my gosh, we ate just so amazingly. And what didn't help that Troy Attilio, our CEO's family, is from New Orleans. So we got to all the good spots.
Some gumbo chicken. Oh, yes, please.
Dallas for me, though. I'm sorry. I would say Dallas. No shade on New Orleans, but
Dallas was fun.
I like country music, so that's why I'm heading to Texas.
Oh my gosh, I totally enjoy it. And barbecue is a thing.
Yes.
So
okay, we're doing them both.
That's it,
so
Dallas.
Good. Oh, so good. And Dallas had, right next to our hotel, was the Reunion Tower, which is a tower that's about 500 feet tall. You can go up, and it's got a revolving room up at the top with a place that you can go outside. We didn't do it because it was storming that night. So watching a big thunderstorm, and this was unfortunately the weekend of the big Texas flood when we were there. We were supposed to go hot air ballooning. And unfortunately that was the night/day of that big flood. So obviously we weren't going anywhere. And the weather down there is scary because it just pops up instantly and you've got a big thunderstorm. And same thing in New Orleans, you can get a big thunderstorm anytime. So, but next year, I believe NFB is going to be in Austin, Texas, someplace I've never been, but I've always wanted to go.
Country music time.
Country music time, and also the home of Google. A lot of Google people there, a lot of Apple people
Google
there.
and country music together. Oh, that'll be nice.
There you go.
It's a dream come true, Stephen.
That's it. It's all. If there's any buses there, I am absolutely in heaven.
I think we've covered the food. We've covered the history. So what actually happened there? Because I was looking through. I didn't see much news, but as you mentioned, there's been quite a lot of resulutions, right? And that's a big thing as well.
Yeah. ACB did not have as many resolutions this year. NFB usually has a ton of them. But a lot of them between the two organizations were about Braille and regulations around Braille, provision of Braille, and audio description and provision of audio description. So it was kind of nice to see both organizations running kind of along the same line, and also preservation here in this country of the Department of Education, which is it was nice to see both organizations saying, do not eliminate the Department of Education. And believe it or not, that's probably going to happen with this administration. So it's a little scary out there for blind kids.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit about this because when I was at the NFB convention, I remember one thing I was asking a lot about was politics and how, it all worked in terms of if a government at that time, Obama was president. So it was a case of, and it was unlikely, I guess, for the Democrats and President Obama in particular to do anything particularly nasty towards disabled people. But I was making the point at the time, okay, so let's imagine that happened. What would your organization do? And I was asking NFB, and they said, well, we have to be slightly careful because we can't get too political. And I'm thinking, really? Is that a thing? So explain this to me. Is that the same for ACB as well?
And actually, there is a reason we can't get too political, and it is a tax designation, of course, because we're the U.S. And, although we fought that little war with you guys about taxes, so both
I remember
of these,
that,
yeah, we let you win.
We didn't do very well, did we?
Hey, look, I dumped tea, all right?
I don't do tea, I do
you
coffee.
Probably did let us win, but
probably.
Yeah, but
it's a big land to look after, and we're very busy people.
Yeah, you just kind of went, okay, we've got India. We don't need you guys. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Food's not that good over there anyway, so. But both of these organizations are what we term 501c3 or nonprofit organizations, which under that tax designation, you cannot lobby politically. You can work with lobbyists, but you can't lobby politically as a nonprofit. Now, that's a very gray area here in the US, but most organizations have to be really careful. And I would say of the two, there are more on the conservative side in ACB than in NFB, and we've lost one large affiliate because of it. ACB has, and that's the folks with Blind Pride. They pulled out of ACB because of, some more conservative attitudes and all sorts of internal politics. But it is hard because so many of these things are, in fact, very political here. And taking a side sometimes means, okay, even if you believe in one party's view, is that going to be what the organization needs to do to keep a service? I'll go out on a limb and say, I'm not sure how anybody who supported Donald Trump can actually honestly say, oh yeah, it's okay, let's get rid of the Department of Education, because that funds a lot of the programs for blind kids and kids with multiple disabilities. How are you as a blind person okay with that? I don't know.
Well, the argument would be that would be picked up by another department.
Yeah.
Or go back to the States.
Well, we would think. And what it's going to do is go back to the States, which means it's, again, a really uneven system, because where do the states get their money for these things? They get it from the federal government. And so the states are going to be forced to do a lot of things that maybe they don't want to do. There are some states that would rather not do these things. So it's a tough and touchy subject, because a lot of people, yes, but the Department of Education has wasted money, blah, blah, blah. It's you could get people going on that one.
Which is fine though, right? To have that conversation. It's so funny that we found ourselves at these times in those conversations getting so heated and so sort of toxic. That's what's funny about it, because everyone's had their own opinions and views for the entire time of history. But it seems like now it's just got really heated, and we've got to a point where we'd rather not talk about it at all, in case it all kicks off, as they say.
Well, we don't listen to each other either. We don't take the time to listen.
But the organizations themselves can't really do it, as you're saying, because they can't really do the lobbying. But the problem is, and it's not the same thing at all, but I think about when people get in touch with us and talk about politics, we've tended to shy away from it a little bit because, first off, we're not in America. We don't, we're broadcasting from Canada. We live in the UK. We're not attached to it in that way. So, whilst we welcome opinions and we welcome viewpoints, politics is such a difficult area. The problem is that the politics are becoming so toxic and affecting so many people, including disabled people, that it's getting harder to avoid the noise at the door. Yeah. And that's, I guess, the problem for the organizations like ACB, like NFB, is that, this is the first time I've kind of seen, in terms of resolutions, people actually talking about politics. Yeah. And they're not being specific about political parties, but we all know who we're talking about, right? Yeah, it's like no one wants to say it, but that's, of course, who we're talking about, because they're in charge.
Yeah. And, I've become an independent because I used to be one of those Republicans, and I'm fairly fiscally conservative, but socially, not so much. And I'm one of those middle of the road people that nobody represents anymore. And there's a growing mob of us.
The vast majority probably
in
of the country,
US,
to be
afraid. But honestly, I'm embarrassed for all you Canadians out there. Many of us here in the U.S. are very embarrassed. And had an interesting thing. I was on the plane to ACB, and this person from a family who was traveling came over and sat by me, and we were talking about the dog and whatnot. And they were from Ukraine. And all I could say was, I am so sorry. Because I felt horrible that, in my view, we had let them down as an ally. And it was so uncomfortable. And, they said, don't worry about it. We're here. We're going to Las Vegas. And All I could say as they got off the plane was, I hope you have a great vacation and you get back to your country, because that sometimes doesn't happen here anymore. And it's sad and scary. And it's something that we as organizations, nonprofit organizations, have to be aware of, that these things happen to people. And what are we going to do?
To be very clear, you're speaking today on behalf of yourself.
I'm
right?
speaking on behalf of myself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also it's important to say that people will be listening who will have the exact opposite view and might be sitting there going, well, I'm loving this right now. What are you talking about, Jenine?
Yeah.
This is the best. Yeah. This is all I ever wanted, is what Trump is doing right now. So, and those, and I say that because it's important to balance it. It's important to accept, because look, essentially the country was split down the middle almost when it came to the vote. So,
and
don't write these people off, and never hate the people that vote this way.
No,
please, this is the one. If you want to heal a country, don't hate half the country. It doesn't work.
You have
because
to
those people are not
people.
Yeah, those people are not all out to do whatever Trump wants to do.
Right. And they do have minds of their own, and they may not agree with all of it, And as people with disabilities, we have to find the common things that we all want. Okay, we all want better access to things. We all want appropriate signage. We all want, public attitudes to change a little bit. And how do we do that?
Hang on a minute. I want to ask you about this. What's your take on Braille signage? Because I don't know if you've heard.
Steven's got all aggressive. I can only apologise, Janine.
Well, I just, I'm kind of like...
You're on 60 minutes here, Stephen Scott. Just calm down.
I know.
No,
well, it's 56
great.
Minutes.
This is great.
But I think it's, I love the idea of Braille signage, but then I often think to myself, it's only useful if you know it's there. And I'm not talking about elevators, because I think that's one example where most of us are going to be feeling our way to get to the buttons to get to the Braille. Okay, so that makes sense. But if I go into, as I have done, a train bathroom, and suddenly there's Braille everywhere, and I found it by accident, I mean, I'm certainly not going to go feeling around a bathroom to find it.
There are certain airlines certain planes that they got, much newer planes that actually have Braille, because, okay, you guys have flown a few times. How hard is it to find the flush mechanism in the airline bathroom? It's impossible.
Never
and
I was
shocked. I'm feeling everything with the back of my hand with a paper towel over it, going, ooh.
Yeah.
And I feel, wait, is that Braille? Oh, look, flush. Amazing.
Do not touch. That's the scariest thing to read in Braille.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oops. But one of the things that makes Braille signage work here in the U.S. is, and funny you should mention it, great segue, 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act coming up on July 26th. So
Cake time.
Yep. Yay. What makes it work is that we have regulations as to where that signage should be placed in many, many places. Unfortunately, not in public restrooms or places like a train bathroom, but you can go up to, in the convention hotel, I can go up to a door and I can look on the opening side of that door where the handle is. I can go up on the wall, go to 5 feet, which is right at the top of my head, basically, and feel the sign, and it's 9 times out of 10 going to be there. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be accurate, but it's going to be there. And so you know where to find it in most cases. And so that makes Braille signage work. But if
is that because so you're saying it's a standard?
It's a standard, yes.
That's
and
interesting.
It's prescribed. Okay. It's in the regulations that say, okay, here's how to implement the ADA. And here's where Braille signage should be. Here is the spacing between the Braille dots. I mean, it goes into ridiculous detail. And there's also raised print that has to be there with it. And sometimes when the Braille is funky or it's missing dots because people have picked at it, because people will do that, you can actually read the raised print a little bit easier. So that's what makes it work here. Now, I don't know if other countries have that kind of standardization, but that's why it's so weird to go to a place without Braille signage. You really feel blind at that point.
Yeah, Stephen. Okay. You know what? No, we talked about this before, Stephen and I, and I sort of, that doesn't make sense to me. How would you know it's there? But actually, when you dig into it a little bit, there's certain situations such as, elevators and things. Someone said, well, there is a standardization. When I come out of an elevator, I know the floor number is going to be on Braille on the inside wall of the wherever. I mean, I suppose it does differ depending on what country you're in, but there are standardizations there, and like room numbers in a hotel, having the Braille signage there, actually it makes sense. So there is a lot of common sense to this. Of course, if there's this way to wherever, that may not be easy to find, and that's different, but there are certain situations where I think Braille signage does make sense.
And fixtures in a bathroom is hard because they're so different, and how could you prescribe something for that? Especially like an airplane or a train bathroom, where the configuration might be really, really different.
I just fling my cane around and listen to the
exactly bash our way around the bathroom.
Well, don't we all? I mean, I just put my dog at heel and just start feeling around, and
don't throw the dog
looking
around
at me like, "Don't touch that." Okay.
Backing away from that. Listen, I suppose we should talk about some tech, because that's kind of what we got you on for. So it's a tech show, honest. What did you see at ACB? Because you did spot a couple of things that were of interest to you.
I got to look at the Agiga EchoVision glasses.
Thoughts?
And they are a very solid piece of tech, as our CEO has deemed them. They are very nice. I am hoping that they get them in a bunch of different sizes, because right now they had their demo pair and they're huge. They're huge. You guys would love them. They might fit you. They immediately fell off of my face, but
the eye stayed in.
Yeah.
Your eyes stayed in.
Yeah. But the capability of these things is, if they work as well as purported, they're going to be, I think, very nice. They're going to be a definite option for people. And when you look at smart glasses, okay, what do you want? What do you want to do with these glasses? Because a lot of the things people want to do with them, Meta can't do and may never be able to do. Although, Meta was there. The engineers were listening. They were there. They were taking in people's input and what people wanted. And, the new generation of Metas that may come out next year, I think are going to have a lot of those features. So that's great. What else did I see? Some fun sports stuff that is really low tech, like blind tennis. I am so glad there's no video of Jenine playing blind tennis, because it was interesting. But
that's actually playing on screen as we talk.
That's right.
I bet it is.
We got B-roll.
Yes. Well, I was wearing a sundress with a sparkly jacket while I was playing, so it was my Serena Williams look, and but the folks from the U.S. Blind Tennis Association were there. They were showing people how to play, because I thought, this has got to be like a partials game, you got to have some vision to play this. Well, apparently you don't. And, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. The balls have little jingle things inside them. So when you hit them, they make noise and they bounce, and you hit it on the third bounce if you can pay attention. And, so that was fun. The guide
dogs get nervous with their jingle bells on.
Oh, exactly. Oh, see, I bought 2 of them because I knew if I even played around with it a little bit, my dog was going to take that ball and just go, yeah, thanks.
So I'll tell you a quick story, Jenine. So there was a TV ad here in the UK that was, I don't think it was banned, but
that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
It was like a company, it was like a betting company. And it was a bunch of blind people playing blind football, goal ball. And that's where you've got the beeper ball, right? So the ball is beeping away.
Yep.
And
jingling away.
But it's a beeping ball, right? So it beeps. No. So there you go. It's they're playing the game as footballers do, and know nothing about football. And the next minute, a cat wanders onto the pitch with its little jingly bell collar on. And the player boots the cat into who knows where. And let's just say the ad received a number of complaints.
Oh, I bet it did. Wow. Oops.
But, it's like, it was a joke. I mean, obviously there's no real cat harmed. It was, but it was just a joke.
Cats were
it was quite
harmed
funny
during the filming of this commercial. Yes. Wow. Oh,
anyway,
how
sorry.
sad.
Tell us more. Tell us more about tech. What you saw.
So, and actually, there was also blind hockey there, and I love the name of the organization. It was called the Dented Puck. And
Wow.
I did not try to shoot blind hockey because it was very loud. The puck I think the puck beeps or something. My nephew was really good at it. He kind of surprised himself at how good he was at it. But my dog was getting very upset by the blind hockey noises, so we had to go. But people really had a good time with that as well. So just adapting all these sports for people who aren't really sporting people. I wanted something fun to do with my family that was a little more physical than sitting around and playing cards, which is what we usually do. And blind tennis, we had a blast. My sister and I played, my nephew played, and so, good times for all. Other tech, honestly, I didn't really see a lot that made me say, wow. I wasn't looking at Braille displays. I wasn't looking particularly at that kind of thing. I never made it over to the Orbit booth. I never made it over there. So it's hard when you're an exhibitor to get to everything.
Yes.
But yeah. So I saw more research people too. So.
Oh. I understand that the Orbit player is actually available for ordering now. Is that?
That's what I saw yesterday, that it is available. And, that will be very interesting to see. I don't know how people feel about the Orbit writer, the Orbit reader, all of that stuff. Very interesting. I have a Braille me because I picked the wrong horse to back in that race. And
sounds like it.
I love my Braille me, but I am going to have to trade it in for an Orbit because it can't keep up. There are no updates anymore. And it's wonderful if you just need something to read your screen, but if you need to read files in Braille and things like that, it just can't. It's not the device for you. But
What's driving you to the Orbit?
Well, it's more flexible. It can do more formats. For example, the Braille me can only do .txt and then only of a certain size, or BRF files, whatever the extension is.
BRF.
Yeah, BRF. And then the Orbit can do so many more. It's got more capabilities. It can pair with different devices fairly easily. And there are continuous updates.
Yeah,
and
I asked because I'm testing the Orbit Reader 40 at the minute, and it's really interesting to me to use as a device. It's so well built.
Do you like the 40? Because
I do.
I thought about, okay, if I'm going to get one, I'm probably going to get the 40 because I've got the 20 in the Braille me, and it's just not enough.
No, well, I mean, look, I asked Venkatesh, a wonderful CEO of Orbit Research, to basically send me some stuff, and the first thing he sent me was an Orbit Reader 40. Ooh. So I was really interested to get hands-on with that. And what I find is, I mean, look, there's no denial that the one of the challenges with the Orbit Reader 40, for someone like me in the job I do, is the pins are very loud.
So loud. Yes, so loud.
But
and the Braille me is...
The Braille itself is brilliant.
Oh, now, it's incredible.
If you've got, as I was talking about the other day, blurry fingers, my blind fingers trying to read this stuff, sometimes it's, I've tried HumanWare, I've tried the Focus 40, and these are brilliant Braille displays. And you can change the firmness. There is some control on the firmness of the actual Braille. But there's something about that Braille that's just really, really... I wish they could just make it a little bit quieter. Yeah.
Yeah, signage can I just
Braille.
say,
ironically, I rail against signage, and here I am with signage Braille.
He sent me a WhatsApp audio message demonstrating the sound of the Orbit 40, and it sounded like the start of Murder, She Wrote.
That's right. It just missed that theme tune playing, the little piano playing on the
typewriter.
Yes. And how much editing time do you take, editing that all out? Like, wow.
Well, not when I'm sending a voice message, that's for sure.
No.
But no, I mean, I do think it's a great device. I mean, look, there's still some pin issues where you get the stuck pin every so often. That happens, and that's something that Orbit are clearly having to work on.
And that happens also with the Braille me, and you basically turn it upside down and pat it, and it fixes it. But so
wins your Braille display.
But there is more support, definitely more support for the Orbit, because I don't even think they're supporting the Braille me anymore, which is sad because it's a great little device, and I liked the fact that the Braille was above the keyboard for me rather than below the keyboard. But
that's good.
personal preferences, and I just think the Orbit can do a lot more at this point. So I'm gonna have to trade in, but.
So it sounds like you should have gone and had a look at the Braille displays.
I probably should have, but, time being what and Jenine needed to spend money. So they had a blind person who was doing woodworking, which I love. And so I spent a significant amount of time over at his booth. He was right across the aisle from us. And time and money looking at his stuff and looking at Blind Girl Designs. If you ever want some really cool shirts and things like that done for your organization, plus just really, really fun shirts, she's your person to go with. She's got some amazing stuff. And I got to try out, drumroll please, the Fieldom NaviPal pouch.
Oh, this is I've heard of this. This is for the iPhone,
this
right?
is the okay.
Well,
I don't ever say this, but this is the ultimate hands-free pouch. I'm telling you. Mike May, who you guys probably know from, it used to be from Sendero. He was the one who developed Atlas Speaks, really developed Blind GPS back in the day. Mike helped them design this thing. And it shows that a blind person was really involved in the design of it. It's great. It holds your phone. It comes in 2 sizes. It holds your phone very nicely. And it allows your phone to be zipped into a pouch with a little window that doesn't have plastic or anything over it, just a little window that the cameras can see out of. And it worked incredibly well for both Ira and other apps that I was using, like Ryan. to ride things on my hotel room floor.
So hang on, is this like a chest thing, or is it like a chest harness?
It is. And the other thing that makes it work as a chest kind of thing, it has a neck strap, and it has a strap that goes around your chest, around your ribs. And for women, it goes under the other strap. It goes below the other strap on your body. So a little further down your body than that. And you can rearrange the straps. So you could put your phone in a landscape mode just by rearranging the straps on the back.
I love how delicate you're being about the word bra when we've talked about eyes falling out today.
That was the first thing women asked was, so how does it work if you're, and I said, if you're curvy? Yeah, it works. Trust me. It works. It's
What's it called? Freedom NaviPal.
Fieldom, Feeldom, and they're at fieldomlife.com, I believe. And these pouches, they're a little spendy. I'm going to warn you, they're $76 American, but the craftsmanship on these things is great. I don't think you're ever going to have a problem with a Fieldom zipper on any of their gear, but they make backpacks and pouches and all sorts of things that make Jenine go, because I love pouches and bags. And I have a Fieldom crossbody bag that Jenine, I dearly love.
We are out of time, but thank you so much for being with us today. We could talk so much longer, but I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for sharing your stories.
Absolutely.
Shaun, stay safe today, mate. We'll catch you Monday with all the news, all right?
Yes, no problem.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye-bye.